Hey everybody, I'm Mama Baird and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to be putting together a collection of my most delicious pastas I have ever made. It's that time of year where it's cold and you want to be inside and be all bundly, and nothing warms you up like a nice good bowl of pasta. So sit down, grab your coffee, and let's go over some of the 7 most delicious pastas I have ever made. If you're new to the channel, my name is Carolina and I do a lot of pantry cooking, product reviews, and budget shopping on my channel. If that's the kind of content you're into, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'd love to have you join me in the kitchen. Alright guys, so to start off this amazing pasta collaboration, we are going to start with one of my most absolute favorite, barbecue pork mac and cheese. Oh yeah, let's see how I make it. Tonight's dinner, I'm working with some shredded cheese, and then I have some leftover baked potatoes. I'm not going to use those for tonight though. I'm wanting to get to this pork. It's got barbecue sauce on it, so I'm going to end up adding a little more barbecue sauce to that. And then I have Velveeta and macaroni noodles. I'm going to be making a homemade mac and cheese with barbecue pulled pork. So first you're going to add half a stick of butter. You're going to make a roux, and this is what's going to help thicken up your sauce. Now you could make this with half and half or heavy whipping cream, and then you could skip this step. That would be the thickener that you would need, but I'm going to be using 1% milk, so I'm going to make a roux, so that'll help thicken it up. So I end up putting half a cup of flour. This is whole wheat flour because I'm just trying to get it used up, but you can use any kind of flour. And then I'm going to be adding my milk. I add a little bit at a time because I want to try and whisk out any lumps. So I add a little bit, start whisking, and then as it starts thickening up, add a little more. I probably ended up adding about 3 cups of milk. I'm going to add some dried mustard. I'm going to add pepper and some salt. I think dried mustard goes really well for mac and cheese, so I always try and add it if I know that's what I'm going to be using this cheese sauce for. Now that it's all thickened up, it cooked for probably about 5 minutes, stirring repeatedly. You can see how nice and thick it is. So I'm going to go ahead and add my Velveeta a little bit, chunks at a time. I end up using a whole block of it, and you're just going to put some in, whisk it, let it melt a little bit. And as that starts melting, then slowly add some more in until eventually the whole block is in there and it's all melted down. So I'm going to give it a taste. You always want to make sure you're tasting your food so you know if you need to add more seasoning or if it needs fixed in some way. You would hate to have it all mixed up and then realize that it needed more salt. So I'm going to add a little more mustard because I can't quite taste it, and then I'm going to add more salt as well. So it's really important that you taste everything, that every layer is seasoned. Now this made quite a bit of cheese sauce, way more than 1 pound of pasta is going to hold. So I'm taking a little bit out and just putting it aside. I will save that for another meal because I can use cheese sauce with anything. Now these were big macaroni noodles, which were super fun because all the cheese sauce went into the big holes there. And then I mixed all that up, and now I'm going to add the pulled pork. I did add more barbecue sauce to that, just Sweet Baby Ray's. And if I was making this fancier, I would put it in a bowl and then put the pulled pork on top. But I'm just mixing it up for tonight, and I just wanted something fast, so I decided to mix it all in there. And that's what we had. It was absolutely delicious. If you guys have not tried barbecue pulled pork mac and cheese, I hope you give it a try. That made quite a bit of mac and cheese. I actually portioned some of it and had it pre-portioned in the freezer, vacuum sealed, so I had meals to go. So that way I could just throw it in husband's lunch, and it was thawed by the time he needed to heat it up for lunch. For this next meal, I've done a collaboration with Brooke over at Southern Frugal Mama. Her and I challenged each other to create a singles dinner where you're cooking just for yourself for 5 nights under $20. That was a fantastic video. If you missed that, I will have that linked below, where her and I come up with creative ways to use that $20 budget. I want to show you though the very last meal that I made on that, and that was this leftover pasta. Let's see what I'm talking about. Made it to day 7. Holy cow, this was a lot of fun, and I definitely learned a lot along the way. I wanted to show you what was left over for my final meal. So I have a little bit of the diced pork left. We have maybe a cup of half and half. I got some of both cheeses left, the taco season and the Italian style. So probably about, I don't know, a little less than a cup of each. We still got half of our bag of potatoes. I think we only used like maybe 6 potatoes from here. So we got potatoes left. I still got some pasta left over. I probably should have only cooked half of a pound of it, but that's okay. We'll find some way to use that. I got half a bag of spinach left, and then I got peppers and onions. Oh, and then a lemon. I need to juice my lemon. So I would say that turned out really good. I think for my last and final meal, I'm just going to throw this all together and make some kind of pork pasta. We're going to make a cheese sauce with these and the half and half. I may need to add some water to kind of stretch it out a bit. We're going to cook up this pork, spinach, and these veggies, and we'll make like a lemon cheesy pasta. So let's get in here and let's use this food up. Sometimes if you don't have a knife or you don't want to dirty up a cutting board, you can always use shears to cut this. So that's what I'm doing here, some kitchen shears, just to get these a little smaller, because I really liked it with that hash, having them smaller. One, they cook faster, they get good color, and they're not going to be quite as tough to chew. All right, get that going. Let's go ahead and get the blackened season on this. I really liked that, so we're going to do the same thing with this pasta. Olive oil. All right, let's get the pork down. We're going to cook this for a couple of minutes just to make sure it starts searing good. That blackened seasoning will make a nice sear on the pork. Just kind of try and spread it out so it's one flat layer touching the pan. We'll leave this for a couple minutes and then we'll add our veggies. And this has been cooking for a couple minutes. It's got some good color on it. So add in our veggies. We'll have a little bit of onion and pepper left. I also forgot I had garlic left, so I went ahead and diced up 3 cloves of garlic, and then I still have some of it left. This is going to make a lot of pasta too, so we'll have leftovers. Alright, we're going to let that cook for a couple more minutes. That's been cooking for a couple of minutes. Let's add some of our spinach. I'm going to kind of tear it up though, so it's not quite as big pieces. This is going to cook down, so don't be afraid to feel like you're adding too much spinach. This is going to be a huge last meal. Alright, as this spinach cooks down, I'm going to go ahead and juice my lemon. Fresh lemon adds great flavor. Should have juiced one in the ricotta pancakes. That would have been good. And then it may seem like a lot, but it'll cook. It'll evaporate. It'll cook down. And then we still got to add our cream and our cheese to this. So I'm going to cook all that extra liquid until it's all condensed. And then we'll add some more goodies. I'm going to add a little more blackened seasoning since I added some veggies with no seasoning in there. Still got a little bit of juice down there. All of this looks pretty cooked. So let's go ahead and add our half and half. Now this, like I said, if this is not enough, we can add some more water to it. Thin it out, or if you have milk, you can add milk. And as this cooks, that heavy cream will thicken up. And then we'll add some cheese and the pasta. Let's go ahead and add some cheese. Still gonna have cheese left over. We'll add half of the taco, half of the mozzarella. Alright, I'm going to taste this sauce, make sure it tastes good. Ooh, it's cheesy. I think it does need a little salt. Some of our pasta here. Wow, I think that looks great. Set this in a bowl, definitely having leftovers. Wow. Now that's eating good. Nothing like a combination pasta. Some people make combination soups. I'm like a combination pasta girl. Oh, that's good. And I got leftovers. Yay. That was such a fun and challenging collaboration. I definitely need to do another one with Brooke soon. Now for this next pasta, it is kind of the same. I am using the leftover ingredients from that leftover pasta to finish this up, but I switched things up a bit by making a different sauce and using a different protein. Let's check it out. For this next dinner, I had some random odds and ends in the fridge that I need to get used up, like these beer cheddar bratwurst. I'm going to take them out of the casing though and use them as a ground meat. I don't feel like firing up the grill right now, and it's a good way to use up bratwurst. And then I have some peppers and onions over here that I'm going to add as soon as the meat gets nice and brown. Most of these ingredients are what was left over from my challenge with Brooke I did last week. And now for my sauce, you could use heavy cream, half and half, anything like that, but sour cream also works really well as a sauce. And I'm going to add a squirt of horseradish brown mustard. It's one of my favorite mustards. And then I'm going to add a splash of Who's Your Sister sauce just to give it a little more flavor and a little more pop. And that's what's going to be our sauce. Now back over here to the stove, I have the bratwurst cooked, and then I have the peppers and onions in there. It was a combination of green, red, and then like a yellow onion. And then I'm going to break up a cup of spinach. I'm going to break it up so it's a little smaller. I don't really like the long pieces of spinach, but these will cook down. It only cooks for a couple of minutes. Then you can see the spinach is now wilted. I'm scraping the bottom because they were cheese-filled bratwurst, so some of that kind of got crusty on the bottom, but it came right up. And now I'm going to be adding in our sour cream sauce mixture. Whenever there was a Schnucks around, they used to have the cook stands. Do you remember that? It was like Schnucks recipes. And this was one of those that had the sour cream mustard sauce with crushed up bratwurst and spinach, but then it also had pierogies. I was like, oh, that's a good idea. But instead of pierogies, I have this leftover pasta that needs used up. Now this pasta is cold. I just put it in straight like that because everything else is hot, so it will heat it up. I like to have my pasta, some of it cooked throughout the week, so that way it's prepped, ready to go, and I can just throw it together. Now this looks absolutely delicious, but I did have a smidgen of this taco seasoning blend cheese that I need to get used up. It was probably about 3/4 of a cup, maybe half a cup or so. So I threw that in there, and it gave it a little bit of that gooiness, and that wraps up dinner. I really liked that pasta, how it was all squiggly and had all those nooks and crannies to collect all that sauce. Brats and that sour cream sauce with that mustard is a fantastic combination. I really hope you give it a try. So much flavor. Now for this next pasta, I'm using leftover queso chicken to make this pasta. But I don't just want to show you the leftover queso chicken, I gotta show you how to make the queso chicken. So let's get into it. I'll show you how I make that dish and how I use the leftovers to create a whole nother dish. Let's check it out. Hey everybody, for tonight's dinner, I'm gonna be using half of this block of Velveeta, and then a can of rotel, a can of corn, a can of rinsed black beans, some taco seasoning, some chicken, probably not all of this, I have a full family pack here, I'll probably just use half of this, and then I'm gonna cook this Spanish rice as the directions say, and this will be a casserole, and then this on the side. So let me get this all put together and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, so I went ahead and just split the chicken and breast in half. These are pretty big breasts here, so I just held my hand on top of it and ran my knife through and split it in half. And then under here we have the Velveeta, rotel, corn, and black beans. And then you're gonna put your chicken on top, and you're going to sprinkle your taco seasoning on top of your chicken here. And as everything cooks, that queso will melt, mix with all that stuff, and we'll have one tasty dinner. And then with that rice, it should be pretty good. So I'm gonna cover this with foil, and it's gonna get baked at 400 degrees. We're gonna go for 40 minutes, and then we'll check it. This was done exactly at the 40-minute mark. I didn't need to bake it any longer. I gave it a mix when it came out, and the cheese was all melted. It was pretty much already incorporated. So I kind of pushed the chicken breast down a little bit into the queso. And then I let this cool for probably about a good 10 minutes because that cheese was very hot. And then I'm going to serve this with that Spanish rice on the bottom. And then I'm going to put some crushed up tortilla chips. And then I'm going to scoop some of the queso, bean, corn, rotel mixture, put that on top. And then we're going to put a piece of our chicken. I'm kind of making a mock Fiesta lime from Applebee's. I used to work there. And then I'm going to squeeze some lemon juice on top. Then I'm going to sprinkle Monterey Jack cheese and get that in the oven to kind of melt it. So we're going to cut into it and kind of see how it is. I love having chicken and queso. It's one of my favorites. And I saw this recipe on Pinterest and I wanted to give it a try. And I'm so glad I did. This was one of husband's favorite meals that I have made. And then I'm going to repurpose the queso and the chicken. I have some left over. So what would you make with the leftovers of this? All right, let me know in the comments below and let's go over to the next meal. For today's meal, I have some leftover queso chicken. Now this is just one piece of chicken in here. And the rest is just queso cheese. This has taco seasoning on it. So I'm going to turn this into some kind of like sauce for a pasta. And we're going to make a queso chicken pasta. So I'm just going to dice this up a bit. I made this in another video. I will have it linked below. Just one of my pantry meals that I have made. I originally saw it on Pinterest. And you just kind of make like a queso. It's like a queso chicken. It's really good. So we're going to go ahead and dice this up. Add it back in there. All right, let's add some half and half to kind of make it more of a sauce. And then I have some rigatoni and some spinach in a pot boiling. So that's going to be our starch is the rigatoni. And then add some more veggies with the spinach. I cooked a pound of rigatoni, but I'm probably just going to use half a pound because I didn't have very much chicken. Use a 9x9 pan or 8x8, whatever this is. We're going to get our pasta and our spinach in here. And then let's pour this on here. And then we'll see kind of what the consistency is and see if we need to add more stuff. Whoa. Kind of going for like a queso pasta. I think that sounds pretty good. I feel like baking it. We got it all spread out. Now let's add some Colby Jack cheese to the top. And that queso is Velveeta, so it doesn't have any actual cheese. This is cheese that I got in bulk from my local restaurant supply store. They have sales on cheese, which is really great. So I like to go there and then I just vacuum seal it because I get it in 5-pound bags and that gets me cheese for the month at a lower cost. One of the ways that I like to save money. All right, so I'm going to get this in a 400-degree oven for about 20 minutes. I'm going to add a little bit of freeze-dried cilantro to the top of it because it just seemed like this would fit. Cilantro and queso goes really well together. And guys, this was absolutely delicious. I need to be making a big batch of this next time because I pretty much ate all of this in 2 servings. Not going to lie, it was really good. And I hope you give this a try because this is a nice twist on some chicken queso pasta. You know, watching me edit that, I really need to make that again. It was so good. If you guys make something like that, please let us know in the comments below. Anytime with Velveeta, queso, rotel, I'll take it all. Now for this next pasta, this is one that my best friend actually told me about. It's sausage, broccoli, and then you use garlic and Parmesan cheese mixed with pasta water to create the sauce. So it's kind of like a sauceless pasta, but it's still creamy. You'll see what I'm talking about. Let's check it out. In today's video, we are going to be making some delicious dinner for only $5. Now, how I'm doing that is I was able to score a pound of garlic sausage for $2.50. So that is a great find, and that's what's really going to be able to save us some money. And if you find one that doesn't have a $2 off coupon, still $4.50 for a pound of garlic sausage. It's a pretty good deal. So we're going to use that. I have half a bag of frozen broccoli that I need to get used up. So I'm just going to put this in a glass dish, microwave it, and then we're going to kind of try and sear it a bit, get as much of the moisture out of it as possible. And then I have a bag of penne. Oh, I'm also going to be using my garlic infused olive oil to use as kind of like the sauce. We're going to save a little of our pasta water, and then we're going to have this. So make sure you definitely have garlic in this. Oh, it smells so good. Plus I need to use it up. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. I have my water boiling already for my pasta. Let's go ahead. I just re-seasoned my cast iron skillet. If you missed that video, I will have it linked below if you're looking for a way to re-season it. All right, while this sausage cooks some, I'm going to go ahead and get this taken care of. Yeah, I'd say it needed to get used up. Now, the rest of the broccoli that I'm going to be using from here on out is vacuum sealed. This is fresh broccoli that I blanched and then froze. So, a lot better than the frozen ones that's in the fridge. But this is still good. It just looks kind of rough. So we're going to go ahead and nuke this for a good minute and a half. So we're going to go ahead and let this cook, and then when it's all done, I'll bring it back. Make sure you salt your pasta water. It helps flavor the pasta. Season it. Alright, got some of it. Let's keep going on this. Get all that ice defrosted. Our water is at a rolling boil, so let's add our pound of pasta. You could use any kind of pasta you'd like. I like using pasta that has like holes in it that the sauce is going to fill in there. So penne is a great choice. Alright, I added the broccoli in here just to kind of get it seared. Alright, now let's add our garlic infused oil. Plus there's bunches of chopped garlic there at the bottom. Now it's gonna start smelling. I'm like smelling in the good way, I mean. Oh, I guess I should try the sausage before. That was good. There we go. Alright, gonna turn this off. We got about 3 to 4 minutes on this pasta, and then we'll pick up from there. Alright, our pasta is done. I'm gonna pull out some of the water. This could help kind of if the pasta gets too dry. Alright, pasta back in the pot. Let's throw in our sausage and broccoli. I'm gonna put in some more of the garlic oil because it's not too overly strong in the sausage, so I want more. I want to be able to taste it in the pasta as well. All right. A little bit of the water. Now you could serve it just like this, and this would be like a garlic sausage broccoli with no cheese, but I have some shredded Parmesan here. I buy my Parmesan in bulk, so it doesn't really cost any extra for me to add this because I already have it in my pantry. But even if you don't, you gotta get it. I mean, that's like 50 cents worth of cheese I put in there. I'll tie it together, and look at this whole entire pot right here for under $5. All right, let's give it a try. Let's see how I did. Bye. I love garlicky. That's good. The broccoli is mush because it's frozen. Fresh would be even better. But Frozen works in a pinch. It's delicious. I am so glad that I gave that pasta a try. It is going on our regular rotation of dinners, that is for sure. Now for this next one, it's not technically pasta, it's gnocchi, but I cook shrimp, and I don't cook shrimp very often on the channel, and gnocchi can kind of get interchanged with pasta. So let's check out my shrimp gnocchi dinner. All right guys, we are gonna start making dinner. I have some gnocchi here that I bought for another recipe. I did a copycat Olive Garden gnocchi soup. So I got a second one. I'm gonna cook this. I left this shrimp out on the counter, so it's kind of been thawing. And this is the garlic marinade, so we're gonna cook this with some spinach. We're gonna try this lemon and herb ricotta pasta. We may not need all of this. I'm gonna put some of this garlic bread in the air fryer. Like you can see clumps of garlic. It's gonna be so good. All right, so here's the garlic bread. You can see garlic in there. So I'm just gonna put it in there like this, no butter or anything, in the air fryer. 5 pieces fit perfectly. Got some chicken nugget crumbs in there. I'm gonna broil those for 4 minutes and we'll see how those turn out. All right, let's go over here to our pan. I have this on about a 6. I'm gonna put down some olive oil. Okay, stir it around. I'm gonna get our gnocchi in first. Cook this for about 5 minutes to get a nice sear on them. See in the picture, they're nice and crispy on the side, so that's what we're going to be going for. Right, let's give them a flip. They're getting a little crusty, but they need a little longer, so let's keep on cooking them. 3 minutes on broil. I did flip it halfway through, and our bread, it's warm and it's not completely toasty though. So we're going to add a little bit of butter and these are done. Let's give these a flip while we're here. Yeah, starting to get some crunch to them. Let them cook and then we'll add the spinach and then we'll cook the shrimp separately. I'm going to add a little bit of butter to add a little more fat to help them sear good, plus it'll add a good flavor. And that's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and add our spinach. I'm just going to kind of tear this so it's in smaller pieces, and then it's also going to wilt down as well. All of this is cooked, so let's get it off. We're just going to put it in the bowl that I had the spinach in. And then we'll do a little more olive oil and then some butter. Do half and half on the fat. And then we're going to add our shrimp here. And since this is pre-seasoned, I'm not going to add any seasoning to this. And the raw one is kind of gray, and then when it cooks, it gets pink. So that's kind of something you want to take in consideration when you're cooking shrimp. I haven't cooked shrimp since Applebee's. Like I said, husband's not really into shrimp, and I don't usually cook it because he doesn't like it, you know, and he eats everything I make. But this seemed fun, and the kids Betty Jan likes cold cocktail shrimp. So we'll see if they like this, and they'll be able to give it a try. So that's just some of the juices coming out that's cooking. We're gonna go ahead and turn the heat up because this is going to boil it more than sear it, but that's okay. The more we cook it, this will evaporate as well. Won't take too long to cook all this. You can see that the tails are already starting to turn a little pink. It was a little frozen too because they have to freeze all the proteins at the food bank. I got this on about an 8 because I want this to be high because I want all of that liquid to evaporate, and then we'll just have the shrimp. So let's give this a couple of minutes and then I'll bring it back. The shrimp's cooking. I did end up pouring off some of that liquid because it was just a lot and I didn't want my shrimp to get overcooked. It's starting to shrink up and get tighter. That means that it's cooking. I'm just kind of getting it flipped over. If you overcook shrimp, it can get a little rubbery. And you really just need it to be pink. Like this is pretty much done here. So let's get our gnocchi and our spinach back in here. And then we're gonna add the lemon herb and ricotta pasta. Smells pretty good. Yeah, that's about half of it. And then let's get a little bit of the sauce with the gnocchi. Whoa, that's good. That lemon goes great with the shrimp. Let's turn this off. I might have done a little too much pasta, but that's okay. That's why we got the bread. Here is our garlic bread. So I'm gonna put one on there. And now let's give this a try. I think that looks fantastic. First time I've cooked shrimp on the channel. I think I nailed it. What do you think? I do love shrimp. And then you can use your bread. Well, that didn't look attractive. And then you can use your bread to slurp up all the extra sauce. I love that you don't have to add any garlic seasoning because the bread's garlic. I guess it's kind of okay. I had extra sauce. Man, this is really good. I didn't realize how hungry I was, so I started eating. That tastes absolutely delicious. That was so good. I really wish I could get my family to eat shrimp more. It's kind of I'm the one who eats it, so that's okay. I don't mind all the leftovers. Now for this last pasta dish, this is a classic, a little different than regular spaghetti. This is taco spaghetti. Not quite as saucy if you don't like it like that. If you like it like that. And this is called a taco spaghetti, and it's not quite as saucy as regular spaghetti, and it has a bunch of flavor. Now, I am utilizing some frozen meat that I have cooked and put up in my freezer for emergency dinners where I don't feel like cooking. I can pull it out, and I actually cook it from frozen. So let's get in here and let's see how I do it. For this next dish, it's another take on spaghetti, but this is actually called taco spaghetti, and it's not quite as saucy as regular spaghetti, and I really like the flavor. This is a kid favorite, so if you got kiddos, I highly suggest you give this one a try. I'm just going to put the meat straight in there and try and break it up a bit. Just kind of move it around. If you have trouble breaking it up, then you can just put a lid on it and steam it for a little bit. That's what I do a lot too. And then I'll flip it over, try break up the other side. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and add my taco seasoning to this, as well as my can of diced tomatoes. Those tomatoes have Italian seasoning and basil in there, so I think it'll go really well in here. And then adding the tomatoes helped create something to steam it and break up the meat a little bit. So we're just going to keep breaking that up until it's all cooked together. The tomatoes will cook down, and then that meat will kind of break up a bit. So that's the texture we're looking for. And that's all we have to add to it. It's super simple. If you didn't have your cooked ground beef, then you would cook ground beef and then add the tomatoes and everything to it. So I'm going to mix the spaghetti in there, and I was like, man, this does look kind of dry, like it needs some sauce or anything. But I just left it as is. The tomatoes ended up creating a nice juice. The kids really enjoyed this too. They ate quite a bit of it, came back for seconds. So they also did not mind that it wasn't as saucy as regular spaghetti. I think that's kind of the point, is that it's a little different. So I have some freeze-dried cilantro here. Fresh cilantro obviously is the way to go. If you don't like cilantro, then you can skip this or maybe put like some Italian seasoning. I think that would go good with here as well. So I'm putting cilantro on there, and then I'm going to put some Colby Jack cheese. That kind of helps make a nice top for it. It makes it gooey, like if you were to put Parmesan cheese on regular spaghetti. And then it just gets melted and it's ready to go. I got a little impatient, as you can see, and the cheese didn't melt all the way, but that's okay. It melted afterwards for enough for the second bowl. And that's what they had. Like I said, it looks kind of weird because it's not as saucy. I'm not really much of a buttered noodled person, but this is kind of what it reminded me of, but with just a little bit of flavor to it. Another classic spaghetti besides taco spaghetti is chicken spaghetti. That's a good one too. Thanks for coming along and checking out all the best pastas that I have made. If you haven't checked out that collaboration with Brooke, make sure you check it out. It's going to be listed down below. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you next time on Mama Bears.